Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Lucy Aria Rose, and their tagline is, "I'm keeping the garlic." This was originally posted to r/mytheasshole April 13th, 2025 by XOXOTransBabe. So I'm 29 female, and my fiance, 31 male, and I have been together for 4 years. We're planning our wedding for later this year, which has been going great. Except for one person, his best friend, Kyle. Kyle is one of those dudes who peaked in high school and is insufferable. He's always making unnecessary jokes that seem like insults, to be honest. But my fiance says he's just goofy and immature, so I've tried to keep my peace. Anyway, my birthday was 2 weeks ago. Nothing big happened, just a dinner at a nice restaurant with close friends and family. Near the end of it, someone mentioned the wedding and how everything was going, and my fiance answered and said we were writing our own vows. I said I was nervous, but excited. Then, Kyle said loudly, I think everyone present in the restaurant heard it. That's how loud he was. "Just don't cry halfway through your vows like you did during your breakup. Remember that?" The table went dead silent. In that moment, I laughed it off because I didn't want to create a scene there, but I was humiliated. My dad was present there and my fiance was aware of that breakup. It was abusive and traumatic. I later told him how hurt I was and he said, "Kyle was just being Kyle and you know how he is, babe." So I sat on it for a few days even though I was hurt, but then finally told him I don't want Kyle at the wedding. Not at the rehearsal, not giving a speech, nothing. Nowhere. I just don't want him there. Now my fiance is saying I'm overreacting, that Kyle was just trying to be funny, and kicking him off the list would destroy our 15 years of friendship. But honestly, if Kyle cannot respect me, then why should I allow him to stand next to the man I'm marrying? So, am I the asshole for refusing to have Kyle at the wedding after all of this? Top comments. Perfect Quarter 8237. Best believe Kyle will ruin your wedding. He's a good old-fashioned attention hoe who gets off of being obnoxious. Angela Etiarnel. I think. I'm just guessing. Not the asshole. I hate when people like this get away with their terrible behavior because their closest people say, "Oh, that's just how they are." As if you have to tolerate the disrespect because they don't know any better. He can't respect you at dinner in a restaurant. He won't respect you at your wedding. I'd be afraid he does something he thinks is funny, which would ruin it. Luminous Angel responds, "Not the asshole, no doubt. Inviting Kyle will definitely ruin OP's wedding, and it'll be in a way no one expects. So the best solution for OP is to have a serious talk with her fiance and make him decide what's more important, his wife or a 15-year-old quote-unquote friendship." Not so religious now comments. You do realize Kyle isn't the only problematic person here, right? Your fiance enables his shit and never calls him out on it, so of course Kyle keeps going and going. Immature or not, he's an asshole. You sure you really want to marry a man that won't prioritize you over his already peaked immature bestie? Okay, Imagination 1107 responds, "Yes, absolutely. And what's this stuff about the traumatic and abusive break? Are you about to marry somebody who allows their friend to insult you and humiliate you in public with whom you've already had a traumatic breakup? I certainly hope I'm reading this wrong, please tell us." My understanding is that the fiance and Kyle were aware of an extremely traumatic breakup that OP had to go through, and Kyle thought that would be fun fodder for him to bring up and poke fun at, loudly and in front of everyone. Update post, April 18th, 2025, 5 days later. Hey everyone, thank you for the overwhelming support and comments on my original post. I didn't expect it to blow up, but reading the response honestly gave me a lot of clarity and strength. So, 2 days after I posted my original post, I sat down with my fiance again to clear the air. I told him calmly that I wasn't changing my mind about Kyle. That it wasn't just about one joke, it was about the fact that Kyle has never shown me respect. And then my fiance understood we had a bigger issue. He got quiet and listened to me, and for the first time, I think it really hit him how serious everything was. A day later, Kyle texted me something along the lines of, "Sorry if you were sensitive about the joke the other night, wasn't trying to ruin your birthday, LOL. I showed that to my fiance and he just sighed and said, "That's just how he talks." So I said maybe then Kyle can talk like that from his home because he's not coming to our wedding. And now here's the best part. My fiance agreed. He wasn't too happy about it, but he said if it really makes me uncomfortable, then Kyle won't be there. He told that to Kyle, and he threw a whole fit about it. Of course, as usual, called me controlling. And then Kyle's girlfriend texted me yesterday. I'm honestly glad he's not going because he's been a nightmare about your wedding ever since you got engaged. So, yeah, this exact thing made me realize what I did was absolutely the right thing to do, and I dodged a bullet. Now, about the wedding. It's still on, just with one less toxic guest on the list. Thank you all for giving me the push I needed to stand my ground. Tattyhead_XX. His girlfriend response sums up perfectly why you didn't want him there. You have definitely dodged a bullet. He didn't even apologize and blamed it on you for being sensitive. I'm glad your fiancé has your back. I hope you have a wonderful wedding. Gen X woman comments, I do wonder why he's been a nightmare. OP, any chance he has feelings for you or for your fiancé? Thinking emoji. OP's only comment. I get that it might seem dramatic out of context, but this wasn't just the one comment. It was the final straw after years of disrespect. Massive kudos for the boyfriend for understanding the moment that it was brought up that OP in general feels disrespected by Kyle, that he realized this was a bigger issue and was actually willing to sit down and have a conversation with his fiancé about it. Hopefully he's not just doing this to keep the peace and actually understands where the problem resides here. That's honestly one of my biggest concerns here, is that OP's fiancé is just doing this to keep the peace and doesn't fully understand what's going on. And the fact that Kyle's girlfriend literally texted you saying that he's been a nightmare, I can only assume that he 100% had some kind of bullshit sabotage plan or planned on making a scene and just planned to, chalk it off as, oh, you know me, I'm just a funny guy over here. I didn't mean anything by it. Why are you so mad? But also pointed out by one of the comments, the fact that Kyle couldn't take any kind of responsibility or understand where he crossed the line and left it entirely on OP's shoulders that they were too sensitive, shows what kind of person Kyle is. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is AnxiousFem12, posted to r/TrueOffMyChest and OP's own page. My husband's childhood best friend asked me for a favor, then humiliated me in front of her family. I'm done being the bigger person. Posted April 22nd, 2025. I've been sitting on this for a few days, trying to decide if I'm just being dramatic or if I've been letting too much slide for too long. So I, 30 female, have been happily married for a few years now. My husband, 31 male, is honestly a gem. Kind, patient, hilarious, loyal, basically everything you'd want. Which, after having an ex cheat on me with his best friend, is kind of a big deal. That relationship wrecked me for a while, but I worked hard not to drag the wreckage into something new. And my husband? And thankfully, my husband's never given me a single reason to question him. Until now? Maybe? I don't know. My husband and I have a great relationship, and we're pretty social and often hang out with each other's friends. I get along with almost all of his group, and they've honestly made me feel welcome. Except for her. His childhood best friend. Let's call her Claire. Claire has always been cold to me. Not outright rude, just subtle enough to make me feel crazy for noticing. You know that kind of vibe where every time you've been in the same room, she's managed to talk around me, not to me? I tried. I really did. I've smiled, made conversation, been nothing but warm, even when she's giving me nothing to work with. She doesn't show up to group hangouts, but she'll invite him over. And he always tells me, to his credit. He never goes without mentioning it, and he's never weird or secretive about her. But it still rubs me the wrong way. I've tried being friendly, I've tried small talk, hell, I invited her to our birthdays, barbecues, engagement dinner. She bailed on all. She skipped our wedding too, and she only ever seems to reach out to him, usually when she's just been dumped and needs to talk. When I've brought it up, my husband says I'm overthinking it, that Claire is just a little odd socially. Maybe she is. Then, a few weeks ago, out of nowhere, she messaged me. She asked if I'd model for her project, totally unexpected, and I was caught off guard, enough to say yes. Part of me thought, maybe this is her trying to connect, maybe this was her olive branch. I even felt a little hopeful, but God, I was naive. So, I agreed. My husband offered to come with me since he hadn't seen her in a while and thought it'd be fun to catch up after. When we got there, her family was also involved, and from the second I walked in, It was like stepping into some passive-aggressive Twilight Zone. Her mom and sister kept calling my husband our son-in-law. I laugh, awkwardly. Think I must have misheard. It only got worse. During the shoot came more of the snarky comments, jokes about the one that got away, and some bonds never fade. Her mom at one point literally said, "We always thought Claire would end up with him, but life has its detours, I guess." Claire always imagined walking down the aisle with him. And then, it's sweet of her to fill in though. Oh, come on. I wish I was exaggerating, and Claire just kept snapping pictures, smiling, saying nothing. No, hey, cut it out. No awkward laugh, no redirect, nothing. My husband? Clearly uncomfortable. I watched him fidget through the whole thing, clear his throat a few times. He tried to change the subject or came nearby me during the shooting. He didn't say much either, just kind of quiet. I stuck it out for an hour, let her take her photos, smiled, posed, whatever. But the whole time I felt like I was part of a social experiment, and everyone else was in on the joke but me. When we got in the car, he was silent for a while, then finally said, "Sorry about all that. That was weird, right?" And honestly, I didn't even know what to say because yeah, it was weird. It was borderline disrespectful. And the fact that he was there, saw all of it, clearly felt it too, and still didn't step in or pull the plug, it makes me feel kind of alone in this. I'm just tired. Tired of pretending this woman is harmless or just awkward. She knows exactly what she's doing. I don't want to start a huge fight, but I'm at the point where I don't want her in our lives. Not as a friend, not as a ghost in the corner of our marriage, not more bending over backwards to be the cool wife. I'm not interested in earning points with someone who clearly doesn't want me around. Anyway, thanks for letting me scream into the void for a minute. I really needed to get this out. Edit. Sorry guys, English is not my first or even second language. Sometimes it's harder to get my points/feelings across. Just to clarify a few things people were asking about, Claire is actually a photography major, and this shoot was part of her final project. I'm not a professional model or anything, but I've done some hobby modeling here and there. So when she asked if I'd help out, I thought it was a casual favor. Why at her house? She comes from a wealthy family and has a fully set up photo studio in their house, which is why the shoot happened there instead of at a regular studio. I honestly thought it'd just be her and the camera, not a full audience with drinks and commentary. Additional background. I grew up in a pretty emotionally abusive household, so I think I've gotten too used to passive-aggressive comments and just sort of freeze up. Maybe that's why I didn't react more in the moment. But yeah, it definitely hit harder after the fact. I will update you as soon as possible. Thank you all for the comments. Relevant comments. No strawberry 5804. Borderline disrespectful? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. I'd hate to see what you think is actually disrespectful. OP responds, "Wow, okay, reading your comment and honestly so many others has really helped me to see just how not okay that whole situation was. I think I was so used to brushing off this kind of behavior that I didn't even realize how deeply disrespected I was. I grew up in an emotionally abusive household where snide comments and passive aggression were just part of the background noise. So when someone pulls that kind of crap now, I think a part of me actually minimizes it. Like, oh, I've had worse. But regarding all your reactions kind of snapped me out of that. And yeah, it hurts that my husband didn't shut it down. I've been trying to rationalize it in my head, like maybe he didn't want to escalate things because it felt like a trap, or that he's not used to being in these kinds of situations. None of that excuses it though, not even a little. I'm going to talk to him tomorrow, like really talk. Not brush it off, not laugh it away, just lay it all out. Because at this point, I need to know where he stands. Thanks for the reality check. I need it more than I realized. Orange Gringo. Gotta be honest, the whole modeling session, photography stuff sounds 100% unbelievable. That doesn't even make sense at all. Are you a model? Is she a photographer? Why a photo shoot in their home? Why all the family members there? That's not how photo shoots work, really. OP responds, "Yeah, honestly, I get why it sounds off. I probably would have side-eyed the whole thing too if I wasn't living it in real time. So no, I'm not a professional model. She just needed someone for a thesis project, and I've done a little hobby modeling here and there, so I figured it was casual enough to help out. I guess she didn't want to go through the trouble of hiring someone last minute. As for the location, Claire comes from money, like money. They've converted part of their house into a kind of makeshift studio for her to work in with lighting, backdrops, the whole deal. So that's where we did it, which I didn't think was too weird until I got there and her whole family was just hanging around like it was dinner theater, drinking wine, making snide comments, just watching. It was honestly awkward as hell. I definitely wasn't expecting that. I thought it'd just be her and a camera, not a whole audience and running commentary. Update, April 23rd, 2025. A quick recap for those who missed the original. My husband's childhood best friend Claire has never liked me. She skipped all the invitations but invites my husband alone, avoids me in person, and still found little ways to insert herself into his life. The final straw? She asked me to model for her fuck. God damn it. Too fast. She asked me to model for her final photography project. I showed up thinking maybe it was a fresh start. Nope. Instead, I got publicly mocked by her family, who joked out loud that she should have been the one marrying my husband. First off, holy crap, I did not expect that post to blow up like it did. Thank you to everyone who commented, messaged, or just made me feel like I wasn't losing my mind. So, many of you asked for an update, and here it is. For those wondering, no, they never dated. He had a high school crush on her over a decade ago. That's ancient history. No, I don't think he's ever cheated, emotionally or physically. He's always very open and honest. We have each other's passwords. They barely see each other anymore, in person, maybe once every few months. We live about 2 hours away. Okay, so here's the update. Funny enough, I didn't even get the chance to sit down and talk to my husband before something else happened. I just can't believe my life at the moment. Anyway, I was still trying to process what happened and sort of threw my anger towards Claire. And honestly, toward my husband too. That's when I got a message from my sister-in-law. We'll call her Madeline. I'm really close with Madeline. She's also part of the wider social circle that Claire floats around in. They're friendly, but not close. She sent me a screen recording from Claire's close friend's story with a simple WTF. It was a clip of me, posing during the shoot. No music, but in the background, you can clearly hear Claire's sister say, Claire should have been the one to marry him. I lost it. I waited until my husband got home from work, sat him down, and showed him the video. He watched it once, then again. His whole face changed. He finally looked pissed. I could not help but to think, why didn't he have the same reaction there? So I laid it all out. I told him everything. Every snide comment, every time Claire made me feel small. How I'd always tried to be civil. How I never asked him to choose between us. But I was done being polite while someone consistently disrespected me. I told him, if this doesn't bother you enough to act, we've got a bigger problem. I'm not going to be in a marriage where I have to beg to be defended. I need a partner who stands up for me. And if that's not you, then we need to rethink this. He didn't argue, didn't get defensive, and I know he feels sorry. Then I showed him the Reddit post. He tried to read every comment, some of them made him tear up. When he finished, he looked at me and said that he feels like the worst husband. He let this happen right in front of him, and he's so sorry. And asked me, what do you need from me now? I told him straight up, this isn't just about her anymore. It's about whether or not you're willing to protect this marriage. I'm not going to feel like I'm second place in my own relationship, so it's either me or her. So, we called Claire. She picked up all cheerful, acting like nothing happened. We brought up the video. She immediately got defensive. Oh, come on, it was just a joke. Are you really mad over that? Seriously? And that's when he stepped in. This isn't just about the video, it's the constant disrespect towards my wife. I didn't say anything before because I didn't want to lose your friendship, and I convinced myself you didn't mean it. But what happened at that shoot? That was disgusting. My wife came to support you, and you and your family treated her like a joke. I didn't speak up then, and I'm ashamed of that. But that ends now. I don't even know why I held on to this friendship for so long. If you can't respect my wife, you don't respect me. She laughed. She literally laughed. Wow, you're really cutting me off over that girl? Oh my God, I was ready to fight. But husband calmed me down, said to Claire, if choosing between you and my wife ever felt like a hard decision, I wouldn't deserve her. We're not kids anymore. You need to grow up. I simply do not want to be your friend anymore. I have nothing else to say. Telling you he can be a gem sometimes. But yeah, we blocked her and her entire family. Since then, he's been checking in with me, not trying to fix things, just showing up, listening, understanding. He finally sees what I've been dealing with. We've got some healing to do, but now I know where he stands, and that changes everything for me. To everyone who commented last time, thank you. Seriously. You helped me feel like I wasn't crazy, and maybe even more importantly, you helped him finally see it too. My guess would be that because Claire grew up with a lot of money, she's probably a pretty spoiled brat and just thinks that she's entitled to whatever she would like. And her family probably thinks that too, with the comments of, oh, it's just a detour. They'll find each other eventually. Yada, yada, yada. My guess would be is that Claire was so confident in her siren's call that she honestly thought she could have just treated OP however the hell she felt like. And OP's husband wouldn't do shit because secretly he wanted her or something like that. I don't know. Claire just never left high school, and that's pretty fucking obvious. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. The original OP is Soccer Mom on the Edge. Originally posted to r/relationship September 17th, 2015, nearly a decade ago. I, female 28, kicked my husband out of the house in a fit of rage, contemplating divorce over revelations about his brother's past. Am I overreacting? Content warning for child abuse due to physical, verbal, and emotional abuse, accusations of infidelity. I'll try to be brief. I'm still fuming. My husband, male 29, comes from a big family, 4 brothers, 2 sisters, raised by a single mother for the most part. The youngest of his siblings is Joseph, male 19. In the 6 years I've known Joseph, he's always seemed awkward and a little too quiet and socially inept. I have always had a special fondness towards Joseph because he's such a sweet person, and I was a little awkward growing up myself. Joseph has been struggling with some classes, and I've been helping him. My husband took me on a special dinner night to thank me for this, and it was there that he revealed why Joseph sometimes struggles. Apparently, their dad, who is now dead, left their mom over accusations that Joseph was a product of infidelity. He was not. But their dad was super paranoid about infidelity and treated his wife like property. The father started abusing Joseph when Joseph was as young as 2, beating him. He left shortly thereafter and passed away a few years after that. The abuse didn't stop there. My mother-in-law picked up where the father left off. The beatings and abuse is too graphic and unspeakable for me to detail here. It's disgusting and inhumane. My husband said that all the siblings took part, including himself. When I could no longer take listening to the details and the extent to which my husband participated, I asked him why and how he could do those things. He went into full-on defense mode when he saw how furious I was, and said they were told he was not their brother. Like, that's a valid excuse? He said the family buried it and doesn't talk about it. That Joseph started defending himself at about 13 and the abuse stopped then. I asked him if anybody had apologized to Joseph. He said he doesn't need an apology, that he just needs to forget, and in time, he will. Since that night 3 weeks ago, I have been unable to be affectionate in any way towards my husband. It's like I went from totally in love to totally repulsed by him. He's suddenly somebody I don't even know. I honestly don't know why Joseph has chosen to stay around all these animals, and I'm disgusted with myself for marrying one. Last weekend, we had a backyard cookout, as we often do. Most of his siblings were here. Joseph knocked over a pitcher of iced tea. He's a little shaky and a little clumsy, but it was an accident. Obviously. My mother-in-law went off and started berating him and called him an idiot and a few other names. She started to berate him about his hands and how they shake so much, and told him to get control of it and stop shaking. I gave my husband a look like, hey, jump in here. He didn't do anything. I lost it. I went completely crazy on her and told her that maybe if she hadn't beat him and other things. At this point, my husband jumped in and told me to take it easy on his mom. I told her to leave, and she told everybody to leave with her. Joseph only stayed because I practically begged him to stay, but she told him to leave too. I tried to talk to my husband about what happened and why I went off. He told me to mind my own business about his family business. I told him to leave at this point. He reluctantly left and has been calling and texting me nonstop to forgive him. Edit. Finally heard back from a friend I had emailed. She's a counselor. She told me I actually victimized Joseph by bringing up the abuse that Friday night. She says I should have simply stood up for him for what happened that night. She says I should apologize to him for that, and I will tonight. She also said it's probably going to be the first and only apology Joseph ever gets that's even remotely related to all the abuse he suffered, so be ready for anything. I'm picking him up at his friend's house tonight. His mom kicked him out over what happened. Everything is happening so fast now. My parents have stepped up big time and offered to move him in. My dad is going to teach him how to drive and help him get his driver's license. He's going to give him his old car that nobody drives. Now, we just have to convince him to accept our help. Haven't read all your comments, but I will. Just things are happening fast, I need to keep up. I know my kids will be fine. Right now I'm in full get Joseph help mode. I have not read all your comments, but I will. Thank you. Oh, I almost forgot. I spoke to my husband on the phone finally. He thinks he's going to talk his way back. I asked him why his mom kicked out Joseph. He said he had no idea what I was talking about. He didn't know. Joseph told me that my husband has been staying at his mom's and he was there when Joseph was kicked out. I will file divorce. No chance I'm taking him back. Edit, some of you have asked about the details of his abuse. I left them out to spare you. Something inside you breaks when you hear the details of what they did to Joseph. I wanted people to read this and not have to visualize it. Horrible and tragic are not big enough words. Edit. Sorry I can't respond to every comment, and thanks for some kind words, but just to add some clarity to some questions I keep seeing, no, he has no remorse, nor does he think an apology is needed. He also feels no therapy is needed for anybody, just time to heal. But at the same time, he acknowledges that Joseph's shaking and struggle are a result of his abuse. I don't get this contradiction, but I will get therapy for myself as well and try to get more answers. Also, yes, my dad is pretty awesome. I knew he would spring into action if I just talked to him. My mom is great too. I knew my dad would get her to sign on as well. They liked Joseph, and they had reservations about me marrying my husband, but that was for other seemingly petty reasons at the time. I swear on my life that I did not know my husband and his family had this secret. I only knew that they all seemed normal, but Joseph was clearly damaged. He's very sweet-natured, but you can tell he has endured some things. I always wanted to get close to him and try to understand him, but I never would have guessed. Too long didn't read, my husband participated in disgusting, inhumane abuse of his youngest brother. I want a divorce. I think I want him in jail. Relevant comments. Really, I care. Your husband sounds like an absolutely horrible human being, and I'm really sorry you are going through this. It is one thing to have been involved because it was just the family thing to do, but it's another entirely to take up for it. To be honest, they should all be prosecuted. I realize that this sucks a lot right now, but this is not something I could ever live through. I don't know if you have children, but if you do, that kind of abuse history would be something that he might do to your own children, but also would be important in any custody disputes. He is despicable. I am sorry you found out this way and not sooner. Edit, when I mentioned being involved with it because it's a family thing, I mean while OP's husband was an impressionable youth. But if this happened until OP's husband was 23, if my math is right, then even the family pressure thing doesn't fly. We're talking about someone who was abusing well into his 20s. OP responds, we have a 4-year-old daughter and a 2-year-old son. My husband has been a good dad, but this changed everything for me. I hate to break up the family because of our kids, but I don't even sleep anymore because I keep picturing what Joseph had to endure. Really, I care responds to the previous comment from OP. Oh, wow. I am so sorry. I truly believe you are doing the right thing, but wow. It is just scary, even if he is a good dad, that he thinks this is appropriate behavior. Your kids are young and hopefully resilient. They are lucky enough to have a mother with empathy. OP responds again, thank you, but yes, I can't get over the fact that even when the abuse began, my husband was around 11 to 13. Even at that age, I think you have to know not to treat a child like a piece of trash or a fly you just squash for no reason. Update, October 31st, 2015, a month and a half later. I filed for divorce after a few conversations with my husband. He blames Joseph for our divorce and became very threatening. At one point, he said he would walk away from me and our 2 kids if I didn't stop the divorce process. I called his bluff and told him, good, go. We would be better off. In my state, it takes 6 months to finalize divorce with children involved. I have sole custody and he never filed for joint custody, which is good. Now on to Joseph. There's so much, but I'll try to be brief. He's in therapy and lives with my parents. He's sticking it out with school even though he has anxiety and depression. He's fighting really hard to heal. Sometimes he has setbacks and is just like a broken down little boy. He has a very strong will and spirit, and sometimes I wonder how far he would have gone in life now at 19 if the animals hadn't totally broken him. His siblings and mom still try to contact him and guilt him for not staying with his mom to take care of her as she ages. They all agreed that Joseph's life would be to be the mother's caretaker as they all go on, live their own as they wish. He actually feels guilty about not fulfilling that shockingly. He has a long way to go before he realizes that his life is his to do as he wishes. They don't have his phone number anymore, but they email him. My dad got him a new phone because his mom would call him and berate him and guilt him. It seemed like every conversation with her set him back 2 steps. She still knows how to crush him, sadly. I wish she didn't have that power over him. I've never wished a death penalty on someone like I do on her. He's dating a girl, and I'm scared she might hurt him, break his heart. But my dad is more encouraging of that and has to remind me to not overprotect him. Joseph has become very close with my mom. He drives her grocery shopping and enjoys doing that stuff with her. My dad taught him how to drive in like 1 week. He's about to go take his test for his driver's license. He's still on a learner's permit. There are a lot of positive things going on, but progress is very slow, and sometimes it's like watching a clock. It just seems like he's standing still in terms of anxiety and depression. I can't say too much about all that's going on, but I can say that my parents have an attorney and are going through the adoption process. I wanted this to be a more upbeat and positive update, but honestly, Joseph struggles a lot. Law enforcement is now involved because some of the physical abuse is more recent than I thought, just from his mom. He has a few scars and he has broken bones that never healed properly because he never got medical attention. Protection orders are likely to be granted. If they are, then according to the investigators, charges will almost be inevitable. That part of it I can't say much about, but can say that Joseph is willing to go forward with that process for now under the guidance of his therapist. But we have been warned that he may choose to back off later. Though one cop said there is a point of no return for the DA, even without Joseph's cooperation. Too long didn't read, my divorce in full custody is likely. Joseph is fighting hard to turn things around for himself. He has a long way to go. It's so hard for him. He's like a superhero the way he pushes forward. Relevant comments. Lazy Tits 127. Wow, OP, thank you for helping him so much. If you didn't do what you did that night, he would still be getting abused by his mom. You and your family are great people. Keep up with the updates if you can. It's good you divorced, because if that's your husband's mentality, I can't imagine what justification he would have if he hit your kids in the future. Tell Joseph to make a new email, just so he can start fresh. Don't delete the old one in case the police need any emails from his family. I still can't believe how everything can change so quickly. Happy Halloween, OP, smiley face. OP responds, you're right. My life, my kids' lives, and Joseph's life, totally different trajectory now. Futures forever and drastically changed. OP on how her parents are adopting an adult. Our state allows for this to happen so that Joseph can have the benefits like medical insurance as long as he's still a student. It gives Joseph inheritance rights, and it gives my parents medical decision rights in case Joseph was to have an accident and was not able to speak for himself. That way, his mom can't try to take over if God forbid this happened. OP was asked how often her husband was hit. Yes, I did ask. He was never hit. Joseph was the only one who was physically abused. But obviously, it was toxic for everybody. But Joseph was absolutely the only abused one. He was singled out by their dad originally, then mom also kept it up. How did OP not see anything before? I missed a lot of things, but my friends are not coming forward with things they witnessed that I either didn't see or was in denial about. He is somewhat of a Jekyll and Hyde, but there were signs I should have paid more attention to. His family, however, they really do a good job of hiding their inner workings of the family and their disgusting secrets. I certainly do hope that OP's ex-husband and the family get prosecuted to the furthest extent of the law, because if someone grew up with broken bones that weren't able to properly heal, that has so much weight for the implications of 1, the physical abuse was so extensive that bones are broken, 2, they never even bothered to get any kind of medical attention because they knew that they would get busted, and on top of that, just assume that he was either faking it or lying or a bunch of other things on top of that. So he had to deal with that pain and probably had them heal crooked because they just had no way to properly support themselves. So who knows what kind of pain he's going through physically on a day-to-day basis because of that abuse and medical neglect. Like, good God. And that's just the tidbits that OP shared with us. I mean, who the hell knows what else happened to poor fucking Joseph while he was living with that house of animals? Good God. Sounds like Joseph is in better hands, and honestly, additionally, the fact that the husband was willing to just walk away kind of gives me the impression that he knows what he did was fucked up, and that if there was any kind of like custody battle, the wife could definitely bring that forward. And if that was brought forward, who knows what kind of scrutiny he'd be under afterwards. So I wonder if he walked away as a strategic way to avoid any kind of legal ramifications coming his way. Ugh. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code ODDS at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code ODDS directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Bear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code ODDS at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.